How would I describe my life in 2 words?
I'm about to leave to go drive a grip truck to New Orleans from Atlanta. Luckily, I'll have my boy Donnie with me. He's a digital tech for this job. The only watch I'm bringing with me is my Ocean to Orbit LHOTSE. My thoughts on this watch coming up later on. But general summary, it's been very nice.
I used to set expectations and thought every job, every agreement should be set to some unspoken standard. I learned over time, the more you say no, and the more boundaries you create around this false ideology of protecting yourself, protecting your energy, it actually closes more doors and shuts down more conversation. I told myself I would stop photo assisting this year, but for this crew, I'd make an exception. And I'm glad I did. About to turn this room into a photo studio. Yes, sir.
Can they stand on this? Fireball.
Is that what we drinking today? Yo, 50 on black today, bro? 50 on black?
Alright, Brandon, let's bring this in. Let's shoot that. You want to shoot the first? Ready? Here we go. This is a movie called Red.
We'll have some talent, we'll have a new break, and then we'll kind of go on.
NOLA was fun, but anywhere is fun when you're with the right people. For those that don't know, NOLA is New Orleans, Louisiana. Ever since last August when I started this next phase of my channel, I feel like every outing retroactively turns into a side quest where I'm the only watch nerd YouTuber that is trying to capitalize every moment to create content for this beloved place. Alright, so we're in New Orleans. I just met Kurt from The Roots at the hotel, which is amazing because I'm a huge Roots fan. Right now we're going to Pesh to
Piche, bro.
No, it's not Piche.
That's what they just called me out on.
No, yeah, it's called Pesh. Still rocking my Ocean to Orbit LHOTSE. Loving this watch so far. It's been a good companion for this trip. If you want to know the truth, I am burnt all the way the f*** out. I'm in the middle of a 4-month work run, and my job is crazy demanding. It's the battle of 2 different disciplines. On one end, my career end, it's very exacting, very methodological. On the other end, the YouTube end, it's very much laissez-faire, ID gap. I brought a new friend with me. We met on Instagram. I saw her popping up here and there on my feed and decided to shoot my shot. 2 weeks later, she flew all the way from Melbourne, Australia, and she said she'd spend the month with me. My favorite thing about her is the way she looks back when I look at her. She's always on time, give or take a few seconds, and perfect to be around every day. The only downside is she never knows what day it is, but I know plenty of dudes that don't mind that at all. Some would even go as far to say that it makes her more balanced that way. I disagree, but that's why we're here. 2 words to describe my life: photo and video, lights and camera, hip-hop and fashion, empathy and apathy, watches and cars, futuristic and vintage. My brand, TFE, is built on the foundations between 2 extremes. I believe there's no wrong way to go about the creative process as long as the inspiration is pure and obviously not a direct copy of something. Vintage inspired is my favorite design cue when it comes to anything, so naturally the LHOTSE from Ocean to Orbit caught my eye.
Where did the name come from? Because I think that is probably one of my most favorite things about the brand.
That's great to hear. We are finding that the name is quite a polarizing choice, actually.
Oh,
Which
really?
I don't know. Like in my experience as a designer, that can be a good thing. Can be a good thing for people to be a little bit shocked or jarred or whatever by something, because I think, over time people definitely get used to something new. So as we were kind of evolving the first design, and we were talking about, and we were developing the brand at the same time, we were talking about a lot about what we wanted the company to be and what kind of watches that we wanted to develop. Sid and I have got very classic taste, and I think we both kind of aligned on that. Since we didn't know how long it was going to be for our first watch to get out the door, we said, well, okay, let's kind of keep it simple and keep it traditional, but let's do something as stylish as we possibly can that's really well executed. We were talking about the kinds of watches that we wanted to make, and we definitely wanted to be a tool watch brand. And so the concept of from Ocean to Orbit came from that idea that we would create watches that were capable of being worn in the ocean, dive watches or just recreational adventure watches, and then from everywhere to into space.
The name and then also the logo. Was the logo design a collaborative effort, or did one of y'all take the lead on that?
Yeah, so the logo actually has the ocean, the mountain, and then the orbit inside of it.
Yeah.
So if you look at it closely, it starts off with a few lines at the bottom, which is the ocean, and then you've got the mountain, and then it circulates around to the orbit. And inside the mountain, there's actually like a little rocket ship that flies from the ocean to the orbit. So it was kind of like, yeah, it was a happy sort of accident, but we just wanted to have that sort of whole emotion of what the brand is, captured in that logo that we create. And obviously, as designers, we want to keep it simple, and we want to keep the message clean. But there are a few little Easter eggs like this, like I mentioned, that not everyone knows. So I think it's quite a fun logo that we got to design.
Case diameter according to my calipers is 38.5, lug to lug is 46.7, case height is 11.5, and lug width is 20 millimeters. Water resistance is 100 meters and features a nicely embossed solid screw-down case back. 316L stainless steel everywhere, and the watch weighs in at 116 grams. The movement is a Swiss-made STP-1-21. This is a self-winding no-date movement that beats at 4 Hz, 26 joule, 40-hour power reserve, and hacking seconds. The loom ain't bad either. Going down the spec sheet, the LHOTSE is designed with the intention of being the perfect everyday watch, and I think Ocean Orbit did a masterful job. The dimensions of the case is right in that sweet spot, not too big, not too small. The lugs curve down and hug the wrist. It's comfortable and melts away on my 6.5-inch wrist. The crown is signed and screw down and easy to grip and turn. The bracelet is solid everything and done to perfection. 3 major things I like to point out about the bracelet. The links feature screws, not pins. Screws for link adjustment is something I look for in all watches that come with bracelets. The bracelet articulation is top level and makes this one of the most comfortable bracelets I've ever worn. Lastly, the styling and tapering is done to perfection and really classes up the watch. The clasp is a push-button deployant with polished chamfered edges. It's nice and does the job. The lugs feature screw holes for that added convenience of switching between bracelet and strap. This watch is most definitely a strap monster and is very versatile. Ocean Orbit sent me their green dial, and it's lovely. This watch is what I like to call a light chameleon. In certain lighting conditions, the dial falls to an almost black, but once the light hits it, that beautiful emerald dial pops out and gives this watch a whole new characteristic. The dial has a 3D pop effect. The best way to explain this is the way the light plays with the polished hands, the polished indices, the polished logo. Sometimes at the right angle, the background of the dial fades away and gives this 3-dimensionality. Sometimes at certain angles, the indices give a drop shadow effect that makes the dial pop more. It's hard to explain, but when you experience it, it's pretty cool.
And being the first watch, we didn't want to overcomplicate the watch with a dive bezel or a chronograph, because we wanted movement as well that is, like a workhorse movement. And we wanted to avoid any complications because it was our first watch. So we didn't want to push ourselves too much.
Yeah.
Obviously, we have a lot of watches coming in the future. That's going to be diverse chronograph, GMTs, and all the sorts. But as a start, that's what we wanted to do. Yeah, we got a lot of influence from all these watches that I mentioned, and we're proud of it. And I think we've created something that looks unique. So, for example, the hour hand is actually a rocket ship. The minute hand is actually a fuel capsule. And the counterbalance of the second hand is actually a landing module.
Wow.
So all these sort of things, we had them in mind. And I guess, like I said, we wanted to design every element of the watch, but obviously getting inspiration from the past watches that we've dealt with.
So for both of you, would you say what's easier, designing a car or designing a watch?
It's completely different. I mean, like when you design a car, when you start sketching on a piece of paper, it becomes to be something much larger than a piece of paper. Whereas when you're sketching a watch, it becomes something much smaller than your sketch.
Right.
So it's the complete opposite of, the whole perception of size.
When we were designing the dial and we were laying out the little racetrack around the outside, we had 3 goes of it. And I think they were something like 0.13 of a millimeter, 0.14 of a millimeter, and 0.15 of a millimeter. And of course, we ended up so it's 0.01 of a millimeter between each iteration. Right. And it felt ridiculous to be discussing this level of size. But when you shrink something down that small, it actually does make a difference.
My favorite feature of this watch is the overall case finishing and design. At first glance, it's easy to write this watch off as an Oyster Perpetual homage, but when taking a closer look, you'll see its uniqueness and the steps Sid and David took to making this watch their own. Along the sides of the case, the watch features beautiful polished chamfered edges that accentuate the polishing on the upward slope of the bezel. These polished edges play with the light so well and give this watch so much character. Random Rob pointed this out on his review, and after he said it, I couldn't stop looking at it. The way Ocean to Orbit did the box crystal on this watch is done so well, it's seamless. Minimal distortion, and it sits at a perfect height above the bezel. I'm a big fan of the logo design, and love that the dial features an applied polished logo at the top towards the 12. The way it plays with the light gives the LHOTSE that premium feel. I wore this watch every day for a month straight, and across multiple jobs in multiple cities, the LHOTSE was the perfect companion. Every day I noticed something new, and every day that passed, the more I appreciated this watch and the overall concept. In the spirit of adventure, heritage, and homage, Ocean to Orbit partnered with Nepalese mountaineer and photojournalist Purnima Shrestha as she summited the LHOTSE mountain in Nepal. You can head over to the Ocean to Orbit website to get the full scoop on this amazing story. I ain't no mountaineer, and I'm barely a photojournalist, but as a humble pie eating, Digitech cart pushing, equipment truck driving, good friend to vibe with, mastered this freelance but still trying, the LHOTSE was a great companion. The spirit of adventure can be actual mountains, or those proverbial mountains in your life that you'll need to summit up from time to time. Keep climbing. Don't second guess it and trust the process. Honor your journey. We're almost there. I'd like to thank David and Sid from Ocean to Orbit for giving me this opportunity to talk about their maiden voyage watch. It has been a great companion. This watch spoke to me in ways that I honestly didn't think that it could. You know, the classic design, the reliability as far as readability, the versatility of this watch and how you can dress it up and dress it down, the robustness, the ruggedness, and it's definitely one watch collection worthy. If you're looking for an everyday watch that you can wear, you could dress it up, you could dress it down, you could take it on adventure, you could take it to the office, this watch kind of checks all those boxes off. It does it in a way that is unique, but also very familiar at the same time. From the way the indices are laid out to the hands, and then the polishing done on the indices and also the hands, the 3D pop effect, that it's like one of those things that you only understand it when you experience it. If you know what I'm talking about, please leave a comment so we can have a discussion about it. But
I know exactly the angle that you're talking about.
one thing I will note is when I first got the watch, I thought that the bracelet felt a little flimsy, but after wearing it for a month, I realized that this is perfect because it's not heavy. The articulation it just flows so well over the wrist, and it never gets caught on anything. It never gets caught on any hairs, you know, and the way it just conforms makes it really comfortable. I haven't been back here in a while. I've been busy with life, career, all these things. But you know, every day I check the YouTube app, I get more subs, more comments. I appreciate everybody here so much. The community is amazing, you know, and all the comments that come through just really brings light to my day, and I appreciate every last one of you so much. If you haven't already, please like and subscribe to this channel. It would mean so much to me, and I'll see you on the next video.